Hello and welcome. I am a hotel AI expert, and I'm very pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School. Now, in the world of hospitality, some of the most important lessons aren't always about the grand strategies or the five-star amenities. Often, they're about the bedrock of daily operations, things like controls and accountability. So, let's explore why these concepts are absolutely critical for your career.
In this explainer, we're really going to focus on the practical knowledge you'll need to excel. We're going to dive into concepts that are truly fundamental to building a successful and sustainable career in this incredibly dynamic industry. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We'll start by building our foundation on trust. From there, we'll get really clear on what internal controls actually are and uncover the real power of accountability. Then, we'll see how leadership and transparency bring it all to life before we focus on the most important piece of the puzzle, your role as a future leader.
So you might be asking, why start with trust? Well, because before you can master operations or strategy, you have to understand the one thing that truly holds it all together. And that's the systems that build and protect trust with your guests, with your team, and of course, with your owners.
I want you to think of these concepts not as some kind of bureaucratic hassle, but as the guardians of everything you'll eventually be responsible for. See, mastering internal controls and accountability is absolutely fundamental to protecting the business and building a brand that people can really, truly rely on. All right, let's move on and see how this is all built. We're going to break down our first core concept, and I promise to make it super clear and straightforward. So what exactly are internal controls? In simple terms, internal controls are basically the rules of the game. They're the combination of policies, procedures, and all the little checks and balances that are put in place to make sure everything runs smoothly, honestly, and of course, efficiently. And what's really interesting here is just how practical these mechanisms are. For example, approval processes. They just ensure a second set of eyes is on any spending. Segregation of duties simply means the person handling the cash isn't also the one balancing the books. Makes sense, right? Consistent documentation creates a clear trail, and regular audits just verify that everything is working exactly as it should. This quote right here really gets to the core mindset we're talking about. The most crucial point is to see controls not as restrictive red tape, but as what they actually are, safeguards. They're the tools that empower you to run a successful and ethical operation. Now, having controls in place is only half the story. They have to be paired with our second core concept, accountability. This is where those systems meet human responsibility, and believe me, that's what drives real results. Cost accountability just means that managers, whether it's the food and beverage director or the head of housekeeping, are given clear responsibility for their department's financial performance. It's not about blame, it's about ownership, it's about empowerment. And when a manager truly understands what they're responsible for, their decision-making just gets sharper. It becomes more strategic. They're no longer just managing a team. They are, in effect, running a small business within the larger hotel. And that sense of ownership is incredibly powerful. Okay, so we have the systems. Those are the controls. And we have the ownership. That's the accountability. But how do you actually bring it all to life? Well, it all comes down to leadership and creating a culture of transparency. Think of these 3 steps as your toolkit for building that very culture. Regular reporting makes performance visible to everyone. Performance reviews connect individual actions to those results. And open communication ensures everyone understands the why behind the procedures, which makes them way more likely to actually follow them. And this comparison just makes the difference crystal clear, doesn't it? A transparent culture that fosters shared responsibility and proactive problem solving, but without it, you get information silos, a culture of blame, and a constant state of just reactive firefighting. Which environment do you think really leads to success? It's pretty obvious. Ultimately, it all starts at the top. The single most important factor is leaders who actually model ethical behavior. When they do that, accountability becomes part of the shared culture, not just another compliance requirement to check off a list. So let's bring all this together and focus on the most important person in this whole equation, you. How are you going to apply these principles in your career? Let's bring it all home. Implementing strong controls and fostering a culture of accountability isn't just good management. It is the very core of great management. It directly protects your hotel's profitability, it safeguards its reputation, and it ensures its long-term health.
As you can see, these are the pillars of a successful business, and of course, a successful career. So I'll leave you with this question to reflect on. As you move forward in your studies and out into your career, don't just think about what you'll manage, but think about how you will lead. What will be your first concrete step to build a culture of accountability? Thank you.